in a Podcast. We're so glad you're here. We're your hosts, Natasha and Lindsay. Well, hello again.
Hello. Second time in the same weekend. That's pretty impressive.
I know, and we actually saw each other in person this weekend.
I know. Those are my favorite kind of hangs.
Same. I am looking forward. We're planning our trip to New York, and I'm so excited.
That can't come soon enough. I mean, it's already coming really fast, but I'm super pumped for it.
Yeah, I was thinking, are we planning like way in advance? And then I looked at the calendar yesterday and I was like, no, it's like a month away.
Yeah, which is crazy. I sat down this morning. I was writing in my journal. I was like, what's today? I was like, is it the 15th? And sure enough, it was. And I went, that means we're halfway through March. I'm not sure how we got here, but
same.
March is not gone. So
here we are. And then it'll be April and we'll be so much closer to warm weather and New York.
And New York, yes. And warm weather in New York, which will be fabulous.
Wonderful. I'm very much looking forward to that. And I think we've planned our trip around the perfect time for spring. And we might get to see the cherry blossoms, which I'm really looking forward to.
Me too. I can't even wait. I hope that everything is just like blossoming everywhere.
Yeah, like I hope that we hit it right on time and not post blossom.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have high hopes.
Yes, me too. Well, I'm so excited because we just wrapped up our 5 love language series, and we're going into a new one. But this month we are also launching our new logo. So I'm very excited about that as well.
I'm super pumped. It's come together so nicely. And I think, like we were hinting at before, but I think it much more clearly represents who we are as people and as a podcast. So I can't wait to reveal our new look.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. I think it's us in personality in picture form, which I really like that. And I liked our other logo too. I love the bright colors. And I think that also is us in a picture form. But I do think that this is more centralized to who we are.
I couldn't agree more. I think the first one that we picked out was exciting because we didn't know what we were doing. And we were like, wow, this is amazing. We made our own logo. And now that we have found our groove, I think this one is more representative of, like you said, our personalities and who we are as people. So it'll be fun to show it off and you guys will see it soon.
Yeah. So we'll be showing that off here soon. And a lot of our social media posts and things like that will start kind of having that design, which they already have really. Once you see it, you'll be like, oh yeah, that checks. It makes sense. Tracks. But a new logo is exciting and a new series we are launching today. We're really excited about that. And this series is Don't Lose Yourself. We're going to be talking for the next few weeks on not losing yourself in friendship and really making sure that you're staying true to who you are in that friendship.
Yeah, I'm excited about this series too, because I think sometimes, especially as women who are getting older in life and maybe you're in that stage of being in your mid 30s, maybe you're younger than that. And that's not as much of an issue, or like maybe you're not quite aware of it, but it happens really quick. And I just think it's important for us to discuss what that could look like, because it can happen really fast. And I think when we're in our earlier stages of life, it might happen without us noticing because we're just kind of running. I feel like a lot of my 20s, I ran a lot, whether that was like going after something or pursuing things or pursuing relationships, and everything kind of happened fast. And now that I'm a little bit older, I can look back on that season and be like, wow, that was a lot.
Yeah, I think my 20s, I would say, was the finding myself years and the defining years of who I was in the early 20s. And then probably like mid to late 20s was really putting the stamp on like who I wanted to be and really lining, like we've talked about before, what my values as a person was outside of my friends, outside of my family, outside of who I thought I should be, but really like defining who I was going to be and putting that kind of final stamp on it. And then in my 30s, like really focusing in on that and becoming who I wanted to be.
Mhm.
Um, and then, yeah, I think it's easy as you get older to just kind of get caught up in the motion of life and kind of forget about all the work that you put in before to be who you wanted to be and start losing yourself in those ways and in friendship, but also just in everyday life.
Yeah.
And that's I'm excited about this series because as I was kind of putting the notes in today, I was thinking this applies to friendship, but also like maybe you're just really career driven. I think a lot of this will relate to your career. I think it could
Mhm.
relate to someone in marriage relationship. I think it could relate to somebody who's a single mom, like or a single dad. I just think that it could relate to a lot of people in a lot of different stages of life, not just in friendship.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. I think that the steps and the things that we're talking about in this series go through all it like it encompasses so much of
Mhm.
life that it's not um only inclusive about relationship, because there's just so much of it.
Yeah. So some of the things that we're going to talk about today that I'm excited about is overfunctioning in relationship, being the strong one, why we say yes when we mean no, and then resentment as a signal of those things. So I'm excited about that.
Well, let's dive in.
So overfunctioning. Have you ever been in a relationship where you feel like you've over, or just in general, where you feel like you're overfunctioning so much that you're exhausted by the end of the day?
Oh yeah. There's
Mhm.
been so many times that, like you said, it's easy to say yes when you mean no. And I
Yeah.
think when you don't understand how to articulate what you're saying, or you don't recognize it, like I really struggled with that in my 20s. Like I didn't know how to say no.
Mhm.
I think that was the people pleaser in me. That was
Mhm.
just like, okay, sure, I'll figure it out. I'll make it happen. But inside, I was like, no, I don't, and there's
Yeah.
actually, okay, so hear me out. There's an episode of Bluey, and we have, my boys are getting older now, so Bluey isn't on as often, which kind of makes me sad because I love the show. If you haven't seen it, it's fantastic. Um, but there is an episode of Bluey where the youngest Bingo keeps getting asked all these questions by the family members. And at the very end of the episode, she's really upset and they're trying to figure out why. And so finally, I can't remember who says it to her, one of the family members. I can't remember if it's the mom or the other sister, but she says, "Are you saying yes, but your inside voice is saying no?" And I was like mind blown by this preschool show because I was like, if I would have been told that phrase when I was younger, like, are you saying yes out loud, but your inside voice is saying no? Um, I think I would have responded a lot differently to situations, because you don't realize that it, sometimes inside you don't mean yes, but either the people pleaser in you or you don't understand, like you're not sure how to say it. We
Mhm.
say yes when we mean no, and that's such a hard one.
Yeah, no, that's so true. I am a planner and I know that I have high functioning anxiety. So if something's not getting done, I'll just jump in and do it. And
Mm,
I like a good plan. So I'll go above and beyond on making like the full plans. The caveat and the bad thing about that is when I make the plan and the plan doesn't go the way that I want to, I'm in full meltdown and spiral mode. So we're working on this. But it comes with the over functioning because you always want to, it's like solving the problem. And
mm.
once you have a solid plan in place, like it's almost like nothing can go wrong. I am the problem solver and I have all the solutions uh,
Yeah.
there. And like that does come a lot of times with good intentions, right? Even if it is because you're a people pleaser with good intentions most of the time. You
Hmm.
don't want to rock the boat or make somebody upset. So the thought is good, but the action of always doing that isn't always healthy. And so you almost have to like find that well, you have to. There's no almost. You need to find that balance of like
Yeah.
I can't fix all the problems. I can't plan 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. exactly how it's going to go because we live in an imperfect world and things will get shaken up as go. Um, but it's it's a balance of not letting that be your identity at the end of the day.
Yeah, and, a lot of my 20s, I didn't know that because I hadn't been to therapy or anything like that yet. Um,
Mm,
and I also had very high functioning anxiety, but I just thought that it was because I was a driven person. Like, I thought that I was just someone who wanted to do and accomplish a lot. And I think there was a part of that for sure. But like you said with planning, like I used to be very intentional about being like 2 or 3 steps ahead of
mm,
whatever was coming. So I did have a plan, a backup plan, and I knew how to operate around those things. And so when I learned how to unpack that and understand that sometimes, not every time, but sometimes those are unhealthy mechanisms that you've developed over time
mhm,
to avoid different scenarios. And so when you are over functioning in that kind of way, sometimes it's an unhealthy habit, not every time.
mhm.
Um, but recognizing when it is unhealthy is important so that you can unpack what the issues are and try to figure out, like, hey, maybe this isn't great. Um,
Right.
and trying to navigate that, but it takes time to figure that out, because
Mhm.
in my 20s, if you would have asked me, I would have been like, absolutely not, I'm totally fine, like everything's okay, I just like lists and I like planning and I like to make sure that I'm ahead of the game. And
Yes.
unpacking it and understanding now is just a different story because I understand the truth behind why I was doing those things.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I even in my late 20s, early 30s, in my career, I was always the one to say yes and to stay late and to do the things. And it was just finding worth in those and finding value in those things of being the yes person and being the person that other people could rely on. But then at some point you start to kind of like realize, oh, like they're always relying on me and never on anybody else because they know, like people start to get used to you are the yes person. And so you have to be careful of that too, of not putting yourself in a place where you don't have boundaries and or feel like you can't say no because you've always said yes.
Yeah, and then that can be a hard place to be in, especially if it's uncomfortable to figure out how to say no,
Yeah.
especially when people are depending on you and they're
Yeah.
the ones that are looking to you. Like, it's not easy to
Mhm.
be like, oh, by the way, yeah, I can't. Like, no
Right.
thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's true. I think with losing yourself, the other thing that can come up is being the strong one and being the dependable person that either your friend or your spouse or work can always call on you and they always know that. And that can be like blessing and it can feel really nice that your people feel that way about you. But sometimes it can also feel like a burden. I don't know about you, but I've definitely been in those friendships before where you get the call and they're just always talking about what they're going through and what they're dealing with, but you never feel like you can because you have to be strong for them, even
Mhm.
though you're like walking through, but it wasn't like the reciprocated conversation. And so then you kind of just say, well, I'm okay. Like they lean on me because they know that I'll be okay. And you
Right.
kind of feed that lie in your head. And like, yeah, you can be strong, but you need people at the same time.
Yeah, no, it's true. And there's, hear my heart when I say this, like there's a level of pride that comes with that, right? Like sometimes we can cross the line from I'm the strong one to I don't need anybody to help me
Yeah.
because I'll carry it.
Mhm.
And that can turn into like a prideful thing of, well, I am the strong one. And like we kind of boast about it in a way that's, I don't need help. I don't need anybody. I got it. Like people let me down, so I'll just figure it out by myself. And that's not healthy either, to look at life through a lens of I can't trust people, because then you're standing alone. And
Mhm.
then how how can you move forward into community with people and have good reciprocal relationships when you don't let people beyond the barrier of I got this? And sometimes I think it's a coping mechanism that we use, like I got this, I'm okay, I don't need help from anybody or anyone.
Mhm.
And and that's sometimes learned or inherited, or based on what you've gone through in life, but we have to figure out a way to let people in enough so that we can share, like, in our moments of weakness. I don't have it all, and I
Yeah.
don't have it figured out. And guess what? That's okay. Like, we don't have to always have it together.
Yeah. And I think that the person who walks through a struggle and in their weakest moments and still lean on the people who will surround themselves with them and lean on the Lord and lean on just the idea of being okay, that you're not okay. I think that that's whenever you are strengthened and the people around you need to see that. Like you can always be the strong one, but if the people around you who think that you're the strong one never see you walk through a struggle, they don't know how you built your strength and you're not doing them the service of showing them that, yes, I am weak, but I can get through this and I will come out stronger on the other side. And so if we're in a relationship where we're maybe a mentor in that relationship, it's so important to let them see you have a weak moment because they need to learn how to walk out of that moment stronger.
And if you kind of zoom out even a little bit further to a somebody who maybe isn't in your inner circle and doesn't walk with you, if they're watching your life, they might not even feel comfortable to come to you with anything because you're so strong that
Mhm.
I'm I must be really weak, right? Because I can't, like, they don't ever have anything. Like,
Yeah.
they've always got it. Like, they're always really put together and they have it all figured out. So I don't think that I can relate to them because I'm struggling with this thing. But does that make sense? Like,
It's
I
just,
don't think
yeah.
I'm saying it well. Um, but sometimes when we carry things and we put on the strong one mentality, it can also inadvertently turn people away because we're too strong if we're
Mhm.
not willing to show some vulnerability. I'm not saying you have to air out everything, but if we don't show any vulnerability to the things that we faced or walked through, then it's harder to find common ground to see, like, hey, I get it. I've been there. I've walked through this.
Right. It almost makes you unapproachable.
That's the
And
word.
yeah. And it makes you look like you just never need support. So then people maybe stop reaching out to ask you if you need help with anything. Right? And so then you lose that connection of people wanting to help because you've kind of put them at an arm's length. Like, I got it. I'm okay. I can do this. And then in return, we feel lonely because why isn't anybody reaching out to help us? And it's a catch 22. And
Hmm.
that connection goes both ways. So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
get it. It's a hard one.
Um, and then this one goes back to your Bluey quote, why we say yes when we actually mean no. I've definitely been there where I've said yes to something and then, okay, this is the battle in me of protecting my boundaries and my peace, but also being somebody who likes being at home all the time and doesn't love social interactions. So I often say yes to things and then I regret saying yes when the moment comes. But then I go and then I'm happy that I went. So, it's one of those things.
Sure.
um,
I
an example would be we we went out, my work team and I went out for dinner one night. We had two new people start, and so one of them had driven down a couple hours, well, 4 hours to do training for the week, and so they were staying at a hotel for the week while they trained, and then they were going back up north. Um, and coming back down the next week. So we're like, okay, we'll take them out to dinner so that they feel welcomed. And so we planned this like a week in advance. I was like, yeah, it sounds like a great idea. Like, oh, well, I'll go out to dinner. And then the day came, and I was like, I do not want to go to dinner with 15 people that I barely know to welcome somebody
right.
that I definitely don't know. Um, and so that happens to me a lot. But I went, and it was great. I had a great time. But yeah.
I get it.
Mhm.
I sure do.
But there really are those times that we say yes when really our tank is empty and we know that we should have known to say no to them. Um, and that's usually I guess, like a protection, a boundary issue, right? Like we want to make sure that we're protecting our peace as well and not overextending ourselves.
Yeah. And it's a lot of times easier said than done because, right, we don't want to disappoint the people around us, or we
Mhm.
feel an expectation maybe sometimes that like we need to be there, we have to show up, or um, maybe it's our turn, right? Like it's our turn to plan the thing or go to
Yes.
dinner. Um, and so I think that this one's a little bit harder just for that reason, right? Like we want to show up for the people that we care about. And so
Mhm.
sometimes we say yes when we mean no, and it's okay, right? Like you went to the dinner and it was fun. Um, there are other instances though where we say yes when we mean no, and maybe it's more of a moral issue, and we're saying yes to something that we shouldn't be saying yes to.
Yeah.
And internally we know it, but then we ignore it and we say yes anyway. Um,
Yes.
and and that looks different for everybody depending on where you're at or what the situation is. Um, and maybe it's because you want to be accepted and liked by the people. So you're like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And internally, you're really wrestling with that because it's not what you stand for, it's not part of who you are. And so you say yes on the outside, but inside you're saying no.
Yeah.
And there's some boundaries that we cross when I think at the end of the day, we are just looking for that acceptance, right? Like we're looking for that reciprocated friendship, or maybe it's that pat on the back of like, hey, I see you. I saw that you did that. So good job.
Mhm. Yeah. No, absolutely. I think in a friendship too, where maybe it's not crossing boundaries, but like you're always saying yes to everything, and then not feeling like it's being reciprocated on things, right? So then it kind of is like protecting the relationship from resentment and exhaustion and making sure that like you aren't always the one saying yes,
Mm-hmm.
that it's okay to say no. I
Yes.
struggled with that for a long time because I would think, well, if I say no to them, they're not going to invite me to the next event or they're not going
Mm,
to, like extend a hand if I'm always saying no. Uh,
right.
and so finding like that balance of it's okay to say no and people actually aren't going to like disown you because you said no one time or two times or whatever,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
And, but also like if they are offended, you're not responsible for how they respond to you saying no at the end of the day.
That needs to be said so much more often. We're not responsible for how people respond.
Yeah.
Like, yes, we have to say things that are hard sometimes, but we aren't the ones responsible for how they respond to it.
Right.
We're responsible to say it.
Yeah.
And how they respond is on them. So if I said to you, I can't make dinner, and then you fly off the handle and you get angry, not that I could ever see you doing that. Um,
Have you
like
talked
that's not my fault. Like,
right.
and if you have to tell somebody else, I'm sorry, I can't make it, or no, actually, I'm not going to do that. Like, I already have an overextended schedule. I can't make it. And if they decide to jump off the deep end with that response, that's not your fault.
Right.
And we have to be willing to kind of let go of that. And that saying, like, really helps me put that in perspective. Like, I'm responsible to take care of myself and my family.
Mhm.
And so if that means I'm saying no to something, or I can't make it, or whatever, I'm not responsible for how you respond to that.
Right.
And that can be played out in so many different ways throughout all of life, right? Like let's say
Mhm.
it's a family situation and you're setting a boundary and you tell them, no, we're not doing that because my boundary is this, and they
Mhm.
have an issue with it. That's not your fault. You're responsible for what you have to be responsible for, not their response. I could
Right.
talk about that all day. So
Yeah.
clearly that strikes a nerve, but um, take it from us, use it. You're not responsible for how people respond to your boundaries and what you're saying.
Yes. It's so true. It's yeah, period.
Period. Dot.
Yes.
End of sentence. There's nothing else to be added.
No, it's really not. Um, yeah, there's really nothing else to say on that part of it. It really is okay to say no, and it isn't up to you, like, how people are going to respond. We can't control that, but we can control how we respond and how we act towards it, right? And as long as our no is in grace and in love, then we've done our part, right? So,
And sometimes like we're saying no because we want to avoid conflict. Um, and I'm guilty of this too, but you have to be really careful because sometimes that can build. in your heart or in theirs, and it does lead to resentment,
Mhm,
whether we mean to or not.
mhm,
Because if you're always saying yes to something and you're really meaning no, then your heart will be hard. Like, and then you'll start to look at those people with through the lens of, why do I always have to do this for you? Like, why can't you show up? Like, why am I always bending over backwards and you can't even meet me halfway? Right.
mhm,
And when we're doing it to avoid conflict because we just don't have the energy for the conversation, or maybe we're avoiding the conflict because we know, or we think we know how the conversation is going to end. Right.
mhm.
Um, Long term, that can do some damage.
Right.
Um, so we have to be careful with that one, right? Like, it's okay to avoid it here and there, right? Like, if it's a simple, this isn't really a big deal, and you just kind of avoid it. But if that becomes a pattern and you're
Mhm.
avoiding the conflict because you don't want to have the conversation, that can like lead to resentment in the relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the last one was, a helpful mind shift.
Mm,
Uh, so in having resentment as a signal, so we kind of talked about resentment, but, when we do start to feel that resentment kind of coming, maybe because we have said yes so many times when we should have been saying no, um, that is whenever we really need to give the attention that it deserves and not avoid it, like you were saying. And I think some good points on that was, resentment can come when we overgive, when our needs aren't expressed. And that's a big one. It's easy when other people are coming to you and sharing all the things that are going on in their life or what they need, or we've talked about expectations and they're telling you what their expectations are. But when's the last time you told them what your expectations are in a friendship or in a relationship? And so just making sure that we are keeping the door open for that communication to happen, um, and not ignoring like those boundaries or never setting those boundaries.
so I have a really great example of this, and it's going to sound really silly, but just hear me out, okay? When my husband and I were first married, I'm talking like within our first year of marriage, before we had kids and any of that, like we were still learning how to communicate with each other. We'd never lived with anyone before, so we were learning that whole dynamic. And at night, we would, after dinner, usually like grab a snack and like watch a TV show together or whatever. And my husband would sit down in front of me and want me to rub his shoulders every single night. And so for a while I was like, okay, cool. Then all of a sudden, and of course, like I didn't express anything, right? And then that turned into like months. And then I started to resent the fact that we were going to watch TV together because I knew that he was just going to sit down and expect that I rubbed his shoulders. And I didn't want to do it
Mhm.
because I didn't want to do that every single day. And so I started to like get really short in my responses and like, or like get huffy and like I didn't say words, but I was just like showing in a different way that this is not something I want to do. You're expecting it of me now. Like there's been no conversation. It's just like assumed. I'm
Right.
gonna rub your shoulders every time we watch a show.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. And so I was like internally upset about it. And I don't remember how it happened. I think he brought it up and I was like, it's just that you ask every single day. Like, I don't want to do this every day. Like, every once in a while is fine, but like every day. And so we had to have a conversation about it. And eventually, like, we figured it out. But there was like, at first, no communication and expectation and like um, what's the word? An assumption made that, oh, she's fine with this. I'm going to do it. As that story played out, because of my lack of communication and all of that, I did have to have a mindset shift to not resent the fact that my husband just really likes to have his shoulders massaged.
No, that's fair. Resentment can be a clue, right? Of like something that's going on. And sometimes it is the other person that's like, whoa, what's happening with you? Like, it's to pick up all the tension and the resentment.
Right.
And I think too, like, we can be hard on ourselves and think that, like, when we're feeling those feelings, that there's something wrong with us.
Mm-hmm.
There's not. Like, it is okay to want to say no, but I think I'm a people pleaser. You have said you're a people pleaser. And so I think that as people pleasers, sometimes that when we want to say no and we're not, and then we're mad that we're not saying no, like we feel bad for being mad. And like, it's like a whole
Yes,
spiraling thing.
it's a whole spiral thing because it all like comes back around and then we're upset again and yeah.
Yeah, no, it's okay. You're allowed to feel resentment and you're allowed to express like why you're feeling those things, but you also don't have to get to resentment because you can just express the word no and say it.
Let's do it together. Ready, everybody? No. And if you
No.
need to hype yourself up in the car before you say it to somebody else, it's
Yes,
okay.
yes, yes. Well, I've definitely been there too, where I've been like, I'm gonna say no, I'm gonna say no, and then I say yes. It happens. I've been
Yep.
there.
Are you coming to that thing? No, absolutely not. Like you're saying it in your head. Nope, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. And then like, oh, are you coming? Yeah, I'll be there. Like,
I'll be there. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I think too sometimes I say yes to things that I know I should say no to, but then I think I'm saying yes because I just have fear of missing out on the
mhm,
activity or the event too. And so like those things are valid too, but
it's
all in
totally
all,
fair.
yeah, I just think it's important that we remember that we can't lose ourselves just because we have fear of missing out too. We have to be okay with finding the balance
Yeah.
and saying no to those things as well.
Oh,
Well, I
100%.
I'm excited for our next episode where we're going to talk more about don't lose yourself. So this one was kind of more about like self-abandonment, I would say, in friendship and in relationship, right? Like
Yeah.
find yourself there. Next week, um, we're going to talk about performing versus being known and like
Mm.
truly being known in our relationships and not losing ourselves and our identity and who we are. By performing for other people and being what other people expect us to be. So I'm excited for that one a little more.
I can't wait to dive into that. That's a good one.
Yeah. All right. So to wrap this one up, don't lose yourself in over functioning or feeling like you always have to be the strong one or saying yes all the time when really you want to say no. It's okay to say no. And it's okay to be the friend that is going through the hard time and opening up and being a little vulnerable. That's a wrap on this episode of Two Main Friends in a Podcast. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram. You can also send us an email at twomainfriends@gmail.com. And as always, leave us a review wherever you're listening.